Hi there, and a very warm welcome to this lesson on major triads. Now that was just a fanfare to welcome you to the lesson, but also it was a good opportunity to show off some triads for you. A fanfare is often used when we want to announce something really exciting is going to happen, and in this case it wasn't just a melody that I played as part of this fanfare. I played a fanfare that was basically built of a series of chords. Let's just have a listen to it one more time. So each of these chords that makes up the music is an example of something we call a major triad or a major chord. And why is it called a triad? Well, because it has 3 notes in it. 1, 2, 3. And it doesn't matter where we play it, it's always going to have 3 notes in it if it's a very simple basic major triad. And why is it major? Well, that's a better question, and it's because of the notes that it's using to make up the chord, and they're coming from the relevant major scale. So say we wanted to build a triad. Now, just the same way we can talk about C major scales and E major scales and G major scales, we can just the same way talk about a C major triad. And we can get a triad by taking the 1st, 3rd and 5th scale degrees from the major scale starting on that particular note. So to find a C major triad, we're going to take the 1st, 3rd and 5th scale degrees from the major scale starting on C. So let's just remind ourselves what the C major scale looks and sounds like. So here's our C, and we go up through the pattern of tones and semitones that makes up the major scale, and this might be a good opportunity to revise the major scale if it's still a little bit fuzzy, because to build each of these triads we're going to need to identify the 1st, 3rd and 5th degrees of that particular major scale. So we're in C major. What is the 1st degree of the C major scale? Well, that is a C. And we're going to add to that the 3rd scale degree, which is an E. And to finish it off, we're going to add the 5th scale degree, which is a G. And that gives us our C major triad. Now, say we want to do something a bit different. We don't want the C major triad anymore. We want to find a D major triad. Now, do you remember how to play a D major scale? D major scale makes use of some of the black notes. So it has a F sharp and a C sharp. We don't need to worry about the C sharp too much at the moment, but the F sharp is going to be important to us because it's the 3rd degree of the scale. So if we wanted to make a D major triad, we're going to need to include a D because it always contains the 1st scale degree, then an F sharp, which is the 3rd scale degree, and finally an A, which is the 5th scale degree. And we play those 3 together, we get our D major triad. And we can do that on any note on the keyboard, because as long as we follow this pattern, we're going to come up with the right collection of notes to make our triad. Now, I know that sometimes it can be hard to remember exactly which notes come in the scales, and it takes a lot of practice until they're very quick and easy to remember. So here's another method of building a major triad, just in case the idea of scale degrees is just a little bit too confusing or complicated at this point. We can build a major triad from any note on the keyboard if we count the following numbers of semitones away. So the way we build a major triad is to jump 4 semitones up, and then 3 semitones up, and those will give us the 2 other ingredients in our triad. So let's just test this out. So I want a C major triad, and we already know that the ingredients of a C major triad are C, E and G, but let's just see if the system works. So I'm sitting here on my C, and I want to find a note that is 4 semitones away from my C. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's stick in our E into the triad. And then the next step from the E, if we want to find the final third ingredient, we're going to go up 3 semitones. 1, 2, 3. And then we get our G, and that's our third and final ingredient in this triad. So together, these 3 notes, C, E, and G, make up a major triad. Now you might have seen someone playing from music that just has a series of symbols rather like this in them. A letter in a box. Now this is called a chord symbol, and we use them quite a lot in rock and pop music to indicate to us what sort of triads we should be using in the music. When I see this C in a box, it's telling me that I'm going to be playing a C major triad at that point. So that fanfare that I played at the beginning was a combination of C, D, and E major triads. Now I was using a bit of a rhythm to play to make it more exciting, but ultimately all I was doing was playing these 3 chords: C, D, and E major. Let's just have a listen to it one more time. And there we go, those are my 3 triads. There's my C major triad built from C, E, and G. There's my D major triad built from D, F sharp, and A. And here's my E major triad built from E, G sharp, and B. And so we can find this wherever we want on the piano by following one of the 2 methods that I've just shown you. Either we go and find the first note, so we want a F sharp major triad, comes up sometimes, it's a bit unusual, but we might want it sometimes. We can either follow the notes of the F sharp major scale and pick out the 1st, 3rd, and 5th of them, just like this. So there's my F sharp major scale, there's the 3rd of the F sharp major scale, and there's the 5th of the F sharp major scale, and that gives us our F sharp major triad. But say we want to work it out the other way, we can do that by counting 4 semitones and then 3 semitones. 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives us our 3rd of the chord, and then 1, 2, 3 up will get us as far as the C sharp, and that's what we need to finish this chord off. Now, just the same way that the minor scales complement the major scales in music, we have the same thing with triads, and so we have another set of triads called the minor triads, which help complement the major triads when we're producing harmony.